Yeah, I just turned it on.
Oh,
3:45.
okay.
Saying to Dan a while ago.
Sorry, sir. Wow, busy actually. Not sure when it's supposed to be.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to welcome you to the 2024 University of Maryland, Baltimore's PhD hooding ceremony. My name is Kenneth Wong, and I serve as the Dean of the Graduate School and Vice Provost for Graduate Education here at UMB. Today, we celebrate the candidates' achievements, the drive, and the sacrifices they have made for their scholarly pursuits. First order of business is a welcome from our Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Roger Ward. This is a very busy week for all of us here at the university, so we're very glad that he's able to be with us today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. You know, it's a special occasion when grads show up and their shoes are glowing. There's a young lady in front here. When she comes across the stage, I want you to pay particular attention to her shoes. And you have a right to wear those shoes. This is indeed a very special occasion. As most of you know, some of you know, the PhD is the highest degree awarded by any academic institution. It is. We award a lot of degrees at this institution, but this is the top of the heap, and it takes the most work, it takes the most effort, and so certainly there is a lot to celebrate today. I am pleased to be here to officially confer your degrees before we get to the hooding ceremony, and I'm especially pleased to be here because in years past, I was the dean of the graduate school, so I was sitting where Dr. Wong is sitting, but in my role now, I get to confer the degree. And then as Dr. Wong mentioned, I have to leave for other engagements. And before I confer the degrees, I want to take the opportunity, again, to congratulate the graduates on this momentous occasion, this remarkable achievement. I want to recognize this distinguished faculty sitting next to you who for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably no more than that, years have mentored you, stood behind you, and supported you all along the way. The university continues to be eternally grateful to our faculty for everything that you give and pour into our students. I also, of course, want to recognize the deans who lead our schools, and we have a number of them represented here today. You will see them later on when they come on stage to hood the students from their respective schools. And what I particularly like about this ceremony is that it's interprofessional, it's interdisciplinary. And so, because we have PhD students across many schools here at the university. And thank yous wouldn't be complete if we didn't say a special thank you and also recognize the sacrifices made by families, friends, loved ones, and others of you who are currently sitting behind each of these remarkable soon-to-be graduates. Without your support, without your efforts, without your funds, in some instances, many of them probably would not have gotten to this point. So we understand the role you play in their lives. It's been a pleasure and certainly a great journey having them with us. And we are pleased now to return them to you and to society, hopefully better than we received them. And so I want to, in my role, thank you again for sharing the gift of your loved ones with us. And so with that, I'd like the grads to please stand. Under the authority granted by the state of Maryland to the Board of Regents of the University System of Maryland, and by that board and the Chancellor delegated to me in my role as Provost of the University of Maryland, Baltimore, I hereby confer your degree with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations. Please be seated. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the proceedings.
All right. As the graduate school has evolved over the years, we have developed innovative and new PhD programs to recognize emerging fields of study. Some of you are probably the same kind of time period as myself to remember when neuroscience was considered a new thing and departments were beginning to be created around that. And now you would be hard pressed to imagine an institution like ours that would not have work in neuroscience and departments and all of that. And so today, we want to recognize the milestone of the very first group of health professions education PhD graduates. Health professions education recognizes that conveying the enormous amount of knowledge, skills, and wisdom to the next generation of health professionals is a science and a field unto itself, which can be critically analyzed and improved through application of theories and experimentation. This day would not be possible without the leadership and efforts of Assistant Vice Provost Dr. Christina Sestone, who, along with her faculty, I'm going to ask you to stand. Along with her faculty team, have created a rigorous, competitive, and nationally respected program. And they reminded me the very first online PhD program of the university here. In addition, Dr. Sestone has extended this vital work across the university with initiatives such as the Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning and the Academy of Presidential Scholars, which serve all the schools here at UMB. So, thank you, Dr. Sestone, for your vision and your dedication. So one of the great joys of leading the graduate school is that all the dissertation defenses are scheduled through our office, which seems at first like kind of a pedestrian thing. But each week, I get a sample of the world-changing research that our graduates are pursuing. I can't attend all of these presentations, but there are some common themes that have emerged from the ones that I've seen. The first is that our students and our faculty are really, really, really smart. This might seem obvious, but when you attend these and you listen to the level of discourse that is going on, the level of work that has been accomplished, it is really amazing. Now, I do not pretend to understand everything that goes on in these defenses, and given the incredible range of research here at UMB, I doubt that really anyone could. I mean, maybe artificial intelligence will figure this out at some point, but for ordinary people, not so much. But it is clear that our mentors have created an environment where students can excel, and that our graduates are really at the top of their game. The second thing that I've observed is that in a world that is being transformed daily by machine learning and technology, doctoral research at this level is still a very human and very personal endeavor. You've probably heard that less than 2% of the world's population holds a PhD, so even fewer than that are actually working on one right now. In these defenses, I have heard about the tremendous support from other students, from teachers, from family, from friends, including those of the four-legged variety. Students have shared about the power of their faith, the impact of their personal experiences with illness and how it motivates them, and their dreams for the future. In many ways, doctoral education is the ultimate in personalized education. It is years in the making. It is firmly rooted in collaboration and working together. And it is an infinity of possibilities coalesced into each student's unique experience. This deeply personal aspect of doctoral education is why the hoods that you will soon receive are not merely a credential or a token of your success, although all of you, and I'm speaking to the students, are without a doubt experts in your field. They are an outstretched hand and an invitation. They represent those who have come before you, the giants on whose shoulders you have stood in order to see further than anyone else. In these hoods are those who will come after you and continue to expand the vast universe that is human knowledge. With this ceremony, we welcome you into this community of scholars with all of its prestige, all of its privileges, and all of its responsibilities. You have earned this moment, and we are all immensely proud of all that you have achieved and the mighty accomplishments that will be in your future. Congratulations, graduates. I also want to take a moment to recognize the contributions specifically of our family, friends, and loved ones who are here in attendance. You have sustained our graduates in this adventure. Pursuing research at this level can be at times an all-consuming effort, and I know many of you have seen this firsthand, whether that is tending to animal models or cell lines, interviewing research subjects, revising a presentation or a grant application for the 23rd time, or just reading one more paper to get a thorough background on the previous experiments in your field. Through a variety of means, all of you have made many sacrifices for these graduates, and you are deserving of our praise. It's a very proud day for all of you as well, I'm sure. So I would ask you to stand so that we can recognize you. There we go. All right. We have a special award to present this afternoon, and to announce that award, I would like to introduce Dr. Soad Elzini. Soad is a graduating PhD student from the Neuroscience Program, and until a few weeks ago, served as president of the Graduate Student Association. I and other administrators count on Soad and other members of the Graduate Student Association to be the voice and the advocate of the student, to work collaboratively on events like this, so our graduate students are well provided for both inside and outside the classrooms. The president, the provost, and myself all rely heavily on their advice and their counsel. So please join me in thanking the Graduate Student Association, and particularly Dr. Elzini, for her leadership and service.
Okay. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good. Got a bunch of nerves, a bunch of excitement. Thank you, Dr. Wong, for that kind introduction. Faculty, colleagues, family, friends, and virtual attendees. I want to start off by thanking all of you for being here today and for the privilege of speaking at our graduation ceremony. Many of you have been a foundational support system for our graduates, offering words of encouragement, a shoulder to cry on, a listening ear, or, as was often the case for me, someone to complain to after a day of failed experiments. So thank you all for your support in getting us all to this point. A PhD is a unique kind of struggle. We face difficulties and pains that many people outside of this bubble don't necessarily always understand. We worked tirelessly for years, constantly pivoting and troubleshooting to learn from our mistakes and to expand our knowledge. During our time here, not only did we learn and grow, but the world around us changed as well. Climate change and the effects of global warming were felt and seen as wildfires thousands of miles away affected our air quality and destroyed 70,000 square miles of land. The COVID-19 pandemic affected us all deeply, personally, as well as professionally, by freezing our timeline and our world, and forever changed how medicine is practiced. The deaths of Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor highlighted the systemic racial injustices and inequality faced by the Black community. The overturning of Roe v. Wade dismantled 50 years of legal protection for a woman's right to choose. And the ongoing genocides and humanitarian crises in Congo, Sudan, and Palestine are more than 35,000 civilians are being massacred and displaced, most of them being women and children. As we experience the past 5 years, it often feels like the world is falling apart in front of our very eyes. I know I myself often felt guilty to enjoy the blessings and privileges I've been afforded, feeling helpless that I couldn't do more. But I learned that there is always something that you can do. I've seen that out of every tragedy emerge people brave enough to challenge the status quo. There are innovators, creators, and leaders that push back against something and say, this is okay, but it can be better. This is wrong, and I'll use my voice to say so. And we saw that in action over the past few years as new technologies and resources that help address climate change, from heat pumps to solar panels to electric cars, came into the market and are becoming more accessible to us as a society. As hospitals are becoming more equipped to tackle calamities, from natural disasters to future pandemics, and more studies are being done to address healthcare disparities and prioritize health equity. The Black Lives Matter movement helped usher in a series of policy and organizational changes to policing that included implicit bias trainings, body-worn cameras, and bans on no-knock warrants. Thousands of protests gathered around the country to fight for racial equality, reproductive rights, Palestinian liberation, and divestment. To me, this highlights one thing, that there is resilience in community. That when we lead with compassion and empathy, when we prioritize our morals and values, that is how we make a difference. When we stand up to dangerous and helpful and hateful rhetoric, that is how we make a difference. When we're able to come to the table to have an honest, educated, and respectful conversation towards positive change without vilifying one another, that is how we make a difference. I'm proud to stand here among my peers, a hall filled with experts in their field, neuroscientists, geneticists, biochemists, health scientists, and social work scholars, just to name a few. But what I want you all to remember is as you look around this room and as you go out into the world, remove all the labels and simply look at one another as human beings. Each person you meet is someone who loves and is loved by their people. I challenge you all to lead with empathy, start conversations with compassion, and engage with the world around you to better it. I leave you with a quote from the diary of Anne Frank. She said, "It's a wonder I haven't abandoned all my ideals. They seem so absurd and impractical. Yet I cling to them because I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are truly good at heart." Thank you. Thank you. Now it is my honor to present the Dr. Patricia Sokolov Outstanding Mentor Award. This year's winner is Dr. Susan Dos Reis. Here to speak on behalf of Dr. Dos Reis are her two nominees, Hae-Young Lee and Feng Tran.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce my advisor, Dr. Dos Reis, on behalf of my team. I'm honored to share a bit about her. Dr. Dos Reis shows a strong dedication to fostering the professional and personal growth of her students. She provides us with comprehensive support throughout our research and gives advice and help whenever we need it. She also has a clear passion for teaching and encourages us to deepening our understanding of this field and to nurture our critical thinking. Our gratitude motivates us to nominate her for these awards. We all live far from our home country without family and friends nearby. Moreover, we have faced language and cultural barriers. However, her mentorship makes us feel at home, which not only keeps us from feeling alone and disconnected, but also creates a sense of belonging for us. To us, she's more than just an advisor. She's a mom here. Congratulations, Dr. Dos Reis, on this recognition of your outstanding mentorship.
Wow, I was warned that I might come to tears after hearing what the students wrote about me. So I just want to thank you for those very kind words. As many of you know, a PhD journey spans many years. You've heard that here tonight. And in that span of time, the mentor and mentee really do develop a special bond. And that bond is one that you can't replicate with any other professional program. As a mentor, I see my most important job is to equip my students and mentees with the training and skills and the best skills possible to launch their own professional career. I want to thank my trainees and mentees for entrusting upon me to guide them through that journey. We know it's not always easy. It's often difficult, as you've heard. As I look upon you all here today to receive your doctoral hoods, I congratulate you and your mentors for making that journey and completing that journey together. I wish you all the best as you launch now into your own professional career and to take on whatever challenges are in the future for you. And thank you so much for this recognition. It really is a tremendous honor to be recognized as a Dr. Patricia Sokolov Outstanding Mentor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Erin Golembiewski, and I serve as the Senior Associate Dean here in the Graduate School. And it is my pleasure to take over the next part of the ceremony, where we'll be awarding the doctoral hoods, which is a symbol of the students joining, completing their doctoral work and joining their mentors as full academic professionals. A few notes as we get started. We'll be moving row by row. Each of the students are grouped by their program. And so if you were hoping to follow this alphabetically, you are out of luck today. So each student will be grouped with their program, and students will zip these doctoral robes. Mentors, that hood string is going to be pointing down towards the students' toes as you put it over their heads. Each of the mentors has prepared a very brief introduction, which is quite a trick after you've spent 5+ years with a student. We'll get just a little glimpse into what their time was like here at UMB. And the program director will be reading that mentor's remarks. In some cases, students have co-mentors or other faculty members who are substituting in for their mentors today. And as we mentioned, this is an interprofessional event. And so we have professional school deans here to assist with the hooding of students in the programs affiliated with their school. Our professional photographer will take a photo in the back of the auditorium, and after the ceremony, family members and friends are welcome to the stage and other places around the auditorium that look photogenic to you. Students, after your photo is taken in the back of the auditorium, you'll return to your seats so you're present for the rest of the students in the audience right now. And so we're going to begin with students, and again, by program, we're going to take that first row, and you're going to follow Elise around the ramp and begin coming to the podium. First row. And I welcome the Dean of the School of Social Work, Dr. Judy Postmus, and Graduate Program Director and Richard P. Barth Professor, Dr. Bethany Lee, to come to the stage to begin the hooding.
Great. First up, we have Dr. Eun Song Park. She's going to be headed by her chair, Professor Jay Unick. Dr. Park, or Song as she's known to us, was an incredibly productive member of our research team and by far the most funny. Not only did Dr. Park churn out peer-reviewed articles like a seasoned novelist, but she also steered multiple research projects, seamlessly collaborating with the School of Medicine, community providers, and stakeholders from every Maryland county. Her work documenting opioid recovery services in Maryland is currently being used by stakeholders across the state to build out comprehensive recovery services. Dr. Park's professionalism and dedication to high-quality work was regularly recognized by our partners. People loved to work with Song. Even the federal government couldn't wait to snap her up, recognizing Song's rare talents before she could even print her dissertation. They brought her in to tackle some of the most pressing challenges of the Social Security Administration. Yet Song's secret weapon isn't her formidable research prowess, it's her sly and dry wit. Song routinely turned our icebreakers into a comedy session. Whether she's riffing on the quirks of parenting, debating the merits of pumpkin spice season, or recounting her latest shopping escapades, Song always left us in stitches. Congrats, Dr. Park. Dr. Park is joined by a whole cadre of folks from South Korea here, special visitors. Thank you. Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Todd Becker, who will be hooded by his chair, Professor John Cagle. Todd successfully defended his dissertation last year, and he's been living in St. Louis ever since, which means he flew back to Baltimore just so he could attend today's hooding ceremony with his family and friends. Todd's thesis was a cutting-edge investigation of attitudes about medical aid in dying among hospice clinicians, including physicians, nurses, social workers, and chaplains. His work has positioned him to become a rising national expert on medical aid in dying, which is a pretty hot topic these days. Todd is a sharp-minded critical thinker, a strong writer, and an up-and-coming leader in the field. People who know Todd also know that he is side-splittingly funny, an accomplished collegiate athlete, and a fluent Spanish speaker. Todd is also an incredibly productive scholar. While at UMB, he developed and published over a dozen peer-reviewed articles in high-impact journals. Excitingly, this past year, he was awarded a highly competitive T32 postdoc position at the Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. I'm personally looking forward to following his growth as a scholar and a researcher. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Becker and formally welcoming him to the Academy. This is the joy of going first. Congratulations. Next up, we have Dr. Nancy Franke, who's going to be hooded by distinguished university professor Dr. Jeff Greif. Dr. Franke is a social justice warrior and former Peace Corps volunteer with an MSW from the University of Pennsylvania. Her mixed method dissertation, The Role of Relationships for Adults Who Served Long Prison Sentences That Began in Childhood, represents her strong partnership with the Campaign for the Fair Sentencing for Youth and her dedication to people who had been incarcerated as children. She collected data from across the U.S. and conducted the first national study of returned juvenile lifers. She's presented this research at multiple national conferences as well as to community groups. While in the PhD program and since, she co-authored 9 manuscripts in peer-reviewed journals and several reports. Her past research has been funded by the Maryland Judiciary and the National Institute of Justice. She was the inaugural doctoral fellow for the Community Justice and Equity Initiative at UMB and a research associate at the University of Michigan. With her knowledge of teaching about and lifelong commitment to diversity and the underserved, she's currently an assistant professor at LaSalle University. Congratulations, Dr. Franke. Next, let's welcome John Gilgoff, who's being hooded by his chair, Professor Fernando Wagner. Dr. Gilgoff is an accomplished health, human service, and social change professional with extensive experience in project management, organizational development, community-engaged research, and public affairs. John is deeply engaged in practice, capacity building, policy, and research focused on boys and men's health and other marginalized populations. John is a founder and former executive director of Brothers on the Rise, a nonprofit organization providing counseling, leadership, and career programming for boys and young men of color. During his tenure at the University of Maryland, John provided valuable leadership and support to the IRIS initiative, building academic community partnerships to support the opioid recovery system. He also led the inaugural Recovery Research Fellowship, a 10-month learning community that built research skills towards greater peer workforce integration and other important outcomes within the opioid recovery support system. John is a great thinker and writer. Anyone who reads his dissertation will agree. But he's also a poet, a comic, a triathlon athlete, and a great friend. Congrats, Dr. Gilgoff. Next up is Dr. Tuli Katederet-Wiedema, who will be hooded by her chair, the Daniel Thurs Professor Corey Shtema. Tuli's dissertation examines, doing a dance here. Tuli's dissertation examines Kenyan young adults and service providers' understandings of mental health. Her multi-perspective case study drew on interviews, focus groups, and government documents. Her work exemplifies the best of social work research by examining the interplay of international aid discourse filtered through government policies and nonprofit organizations. She uses a decolonizing lens to identify where bottom-up perspectives are not only shaped by top-down forces, but also change and challenge them. Her multi-layered understanding of mental health and how it's understood within the context of young people's lives in rural, urban, and suburban Kenya provides guidance for social workers and other medical and service providers. Her work has important implications for social work, public health, and international policy and programming. It's an honor and a joy to work with someone like Tuli, whose rare combination of profound intellectual inquiry and a clear, straightforward vision allows her to engage in a dialogue with a variety of stakeholders and amplify the impact of her work.
I invite Dean Mark Reynolds to the stage, Dean of the School of Dentistry, and Dr. Abraham Schneider, Graduate Program Director, Dental Biomedical Sciences.
Thank you and welcome. Dr. Mankyo Chan, mentor Ishraq Al-Shankiri, wrote the following. I'm proud to introduce Dr. Ishraq Al-Shankiri. Dr. Al-Shankiri received a Bachelor of Dental Science degree from King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. She was also trained in oral medicine at the University of Washington in Seattle and received a Master of Science degree in Dentistry. She started her PhD training in the Dental Biomedical Sciences program in 2019. During the 5 years of training, I've had the privilege of witnessing her growth and development into a skilled researcher and expert in the mechanisms of temporomandibular joint pain and bone degeneration. Dr. Al-Shankiri has demonstrated exceptional dedication and passion for her research. She has not only contributed new insights to the field, but has also shown a commitment to collaboration and mentorship, serving as a role model for her peers. As a board-certified oral medicine specialist and now a PhD in the field of craniofacial pain, Dr. Al-Shankiri will continue to make significant contributions to craniofacial pain research and management in the future. Dr. Al-Shankiri is going back to Saudi Arabia to serve as faculty member in the Al-Qura University. Congratulations.
You made it.
I welcome the Dean of the School of Nursing, Dr. Yolanda Agobulu, and Dr. Unshim Nam, Professor and Associate Dean, and the PhD Program Director.
Thank you, Dr. Golemsky. Dean of Law, faculty and guests, it's my distinct honor and privilege to present our School of Nursing PhD candidates to you today. The first candidate is Hyang Baek. I'm truly delighted to introduce this outstanding candidate. Hyang is a nurse researcher with a focus on the impact of nurse work environment on nursing practice. Since 2018, she has completed her research and worked on several projects aimed at enhancing nurses' well-being. These projects addressed the issue of substance abuse and helped in crafting shift to work recommendations. In her doctoral dissertation research, she examined the impact of work environment during the COVID pandemic along with bullying in nursing and how workplace support was associated with nurse well-being and intention to stay. Currently, she is working as a project director for an AHRQ-funded grant project, a study of nurse EHR usability and usefulness in critical care, along with Dr. Alison Trinkoff. She has also completed a year graduate study in healthcare informatics. Hyang is a cheerful and positive team member and innovative thinker who is a great colleague to all of us. Recently, she has accepted an offer as an associate professor, tenure track at the Towson University. We are very happy to have her back. And Hyang Baek will be hooded by dissertation chair, Dr. Alison Trinkoff, and Dean Ovolo. Congratulations, Dr. Baek. Our next candidate is Hepzibah Sophie Edwin. It is my great honor to introduce Sophie Edwin, an outstanding clinical nurse scientist. Sophie began her nursing career in India and immigrated to the US as a registered nurse 22 years ago. Her nursing experience included exploring ways to promote a healthy, sustainable workplace where she supported and mentored nurses and nurse leaders in their professional development. Considering the ongoing challenges in the healthcare environment and the current nursing shortage, she supports and mentors nurses and their nurse leaders in the professional development. She has presented her scholarly work at the national conference and published her findings in Nursing Outlook and other prestigious journals. In 2021, Sophie received the Medcial Nurses' Choice Award as an exceptional nurse leader in 2021. Sophie is an enthusiastic learner, highly organized, and motivated to succeed with noteworthy perseverance. She plans to blend her clinical practice, teaching, research skills in her current position as a senior nurse director at Medcial Washington Hospital Center, while she supports her fellow nurses in the advancement of science. Sophie will be hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Alison Trinkoff and Dean Ovolo. Congratulations, Dr. Edwin. Our next candidate is Emily Worthman. It is wonderful to present this outstanding candidate as she reached this important milestone. Emily began her PhD during COVID pandemic, meeting her mentors and classmates over Zoom while juggling homeschool needs for her two young children, Delia and Henry, whose school also meeting virtually. During that time, she was called back to bedside, often juggling statistics and nursing theory with working night shift in the ICU or in the emergency room. As the COVID pandemic waned and we returned to campus, Emily published her first article associated with her dissertation, a literature review of burn pain and adverse child experience. She also continued advancing her profession of burn nursing with an appointment to the Board of Certification for Emergency Nurse and as a special advisor and subject matter to the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authorities, resource-related information and tracking medical communications application project. Emily will be hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Luana Coloca and Dean Ovolo. Congratulations, Dr. Worthman. Okay. Our last, but certainly not least, candidate is Rhea Freeman Williams. I am really delighted to introduce this accomplished candidate. Rhea is a certified nurse midwife and nutritionist. She earned her BSN degree at the Johns Hopkins University and an MSN degree in midwifery at the Shenandoah University. Her clinical practice as a midwife, Rhea became interested in reducing cesarean birth among low-risk birth givers and the impact that intrapartum interventions had on cesarean birth. She started her PhD journey at the University of Maryland School of Nursing in 2018 as a Conway Scholar, while also working as a nursing faculty member at a Shady Grove campus. She completed her PhD coursework during the COVID pandemic and recognized the changes in policy and practice which could affect birth outcomes in low birth givers. So for her dissertation, she jumped right in and used a national database to examine the effects of COVID-19 in both postpartum interventions and cesarean birth outcomes. Her clinical research work has resulted in her recently being inducted as a fellow in American College of Nurse Midwives. Rhea will be hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Jennifer Kleindienst and Dr. Ovolo. Congratulations, Dr. Freeman Williams. Thank you.
I invite Dr. Sarah Michelle, Dean of the School of Pharmacy and Professor, to the stage. And joining her to introduce the graduates from the Pharmaceutical Sciences Program is Dr. Amanda Oglesby, Associate Professor in Pharmaceutical Sciences and PhD Program Director.
All right, so first up is Anna Coutinho. She is going to be hooded by her advisor, Jim Polly. Anna knows a great deal about medications and long roads. A graduate of Penn State, Anna then attended pharmacy school here, earning the Doctor of Pharmacy degree prior to enrolling in the PhD program. Anna has been here so long that she helped identify the location for the construction of DeVidge Hall. Anna's research in oral drug absorption spanned from a clinical trial to chemical spectroscopy. Using select ingredients and processing, she manufactured tablets of an antifungal whose water solubility is lower than marble. She tested her tablets in healthy people. The drug was absorbed twofold more than the commercial tablets. Using NMR, she explained how her tablet ingredients dissolved the drug so it could be absorbed. A native of Brazil who considers June 22nd her American birthday, the date she came to the US, Anna makes everyone laugh. Topics include her previous car, her husband, her parents, her in-laws, her brother, and her high-end keyboard. We are very sure that Anna loves her husband a lot more than her previous car, although Anna really loves her high-end keyboard. Anna starts at Merck next month. Best wishes, Anna. Next up is Brianna Scotland, who is going to be hooded by her mentor, Ryan Pearson. Brianna's doctoral research focused on the development of nanoparticles to modulate immune cell responses for the treatment of allergies. Brianna's doctoral work resulted in an impressive 6 publications, 3 of which she is first author. She has also received numerous awards during her studies, including the Genentech Meyerhoff Fellowship, and she was selected to present her work at multiple conferences. Above all, Brianna's dedication and perseverance have been unmatched. I wish her all the best as she moves toward her next career steps. Congratulations, Dr. Scotland. Next up is Neutron, who will also be hooded by her advisor, Ryan Pearson. New's doctoral research focused on developing nanoparticle-based strategies for immunomodulation in severe inflammation and sepsis. The strength of her research led to the publication of multiple first author and co-author manuscripts. As a result, New was the recipient of several awards and selected conference presentations. Notably, New received an honorable mention for her NSF GFRP application and received a Pharma Foundation pre-doctoral fellowship in drug delivery. New's outstanding contributions and infectious enthusiasm are etched into the lab's research directions and culture. I wish her all the best in her future endeavors. Congratulations, Dr. Trong. Next up is Xu Hui Li, mentored and hooded by her mentor, Joga Gobru. I am pleased to introduce Xu Hui Li. Xu Hui started her academic journey studying the pharmaceutical engineering from Yunnan University. This was followed by completing a master's in pharmaceutical modeling from Uppsala University. At UMB, Xu Hui joined the Center for Translational Medicine to pursue her PhD, applying pharmacometrics to drug development and precision medicine. During her time at UMB, Xu Hui worked on two healthcare challenges. First, she worked on optimizing the dose of TXA, a drug used to reduce bleeding in women post-childbirth. The second project was to find a practical solution for the lack of a much-needed generics for Advair. Xu Hui is currently working as a scientist at Bristol Myers Squibb. Congratulations, Dr. Xu Hui Li. Next up is Yulimi Morel, mentored and hooded by Jace Jones. It is a great pleasure to introduce Dr. Yulimi Morel. Dr. Morel's doctoral research involved establishing the link between lipid structure and biological function. She developed a quantitative assay to detect over 100 unique endogenous lipids. She also developed an analytical method to structurally define intact oxidatively labeled lipids. These methods will enable a greater understanding of the role of lipid peroxidation plays following brain injury. Her studies resulted in 2 first author publications, 1 co-author publication, and several manuscripts soon to be published. She was awarded the Washington-Baltimore Mass Spectrometry Discussion Group Travel Award, Departmental Fellowship Award, Gordon Research Conference Travel Award, and a Waters Early Career Summit invitation. Dr. Morel is a fantastic experimentalist with an equally matched work ethic. She was a joy to have in the lab and greatly contributed to a collegial and fun working environment. She will be greatly missed, and we are truly excited to see all the wonderful things she will accomplish as a senior scientist in the Biologics Analytical Research and Development Program at Merck. Congratulations, Dr. Morel. Next is An Tran, who was mentored and will be hooded also by Dr. Jace Jones. It is with gratitude and delight that I introduce Dr. An Tran. Dr. Tran's diligent and systematic experimental approach resulted in a robust analytical workflow for rapid and comprehensive analysis of sphingolipids, with major implications for using sphingolipid metabolism as a molecular marker for hepatotoxicity. His work resulted in 2 first author publications, 2 co-author publications, and several more publications soon to be completed. He presented his original research at numerous regional and national conferences, which included 3 oral presentations. He was awarded the Washington-Baltimore Mass Spectrometry Discussion Group Travel Award and received a departmental fellowship, and excelled in the classroom and the laboratory. He was a terrific lab member and greatly contributed to the lab's success. His talents go behind the lab, and he is a fantastic baker, brewer, and cook. He will be greatly missed for his scientific acumen and culinary skills. Dr. Tran accepted a prestigious NRC fellowship at NIST, and we are excited to see his continued growth as a scientist. Congratulations, Dr. An Tran. Next is Kyle Kin, who will be hooded by his mentor, Daniel Duredge. I am pleased to introduce Dr. Kyle Kin. Kyle started his academic career at Goucher College, majoring in biochemistry and molecular biology. His early experiences and scientific role models played a large part in his scientific journey. Notably, his passion for the field was ignited by early experiences in his grandfather's immunology lab. Kyle's dissertation focused on the development of an integrative structural biology platform combining hydrogen deuterium exchange mass spectrometry, or HDX-MS, with molecular dynamic simulations to computationally model structural ensembles and augment structure-based drug design approaches. As a graduate student, Kyle participated in the publication of 8 scientific articles. He was awarded the 2019 Graduate Translational Research Award and the School of Pharmacy's Dean's Teaching Fellowship. Kyle is driven, motivated, inquisitive, and he was a great student and colleague. Currently, Kyle is a postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown University, where he continues his work in drug design, targeting voltage-gated ion channels with the aid of molecular dynamics and machine learning. Congratulations to Dr. Ken. Next up is Dr. Raquel Laverne Short, who was mentored by Lisa Jones and will be hooded by her committee member, Daniel Duredge. From the moment Raquel entered the Jones lab, she exhibited a profound curiosity and dedication to pushing the boundaries of mass spectrometry-based protein footprinting. With the background in biology, Raquel embraced the challenges of our interdisciplinary environment, swiftly immersing herself in biophysics, analytical chemistry, high-throughput proteomics, biochemistry, and method development. Even amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, Raquel's unwavering commitment yielded groundbreaking results, notably publishing the pioneering application of fast photochemical oxidation of protein, or FPOP, in 3D tumor spheroids. She also spearheaded the creation of an automated data analysis platform for protein footprinting, mastering R programming from scratch. In her final year, Raquel's resilience was exemplified by her decision to join me at University of California, San Diego, where I established my new lab. Her tenacity and grit not only enriched the Jones lab at UCSD, but also proved invaluable in shaping our endeavors. Currently, Raquel is a mass spectrometrist at Exit Inc., a precise systems company. Her journey embodies the spirit of relentless pursuit and unwavering dedication. Congrats, Dr. Raquel Short. Next up is Ritika Kurian, who is going to be hooded by her mentor, Hongbing Wang. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Ritika Kurian. Ritika originally got her bachelor's degree in Pharmaceutical Sciences from Goa University, India. She then relocated to the United States to pursue studies in pharmaceutical sciences at Northeastern University in Boston. After completing her MS degree, Ritika worked at Charles River Laboratories as a scientist in the Department of Discovery Bioanalysis, specializing in LC-MS and PK/PD analyses. 5 years ago, Ritika joined my lab as a PhD candidate, undertaking a rather challenging drug development project. Throughout her tenure, Ritika has demonstrated high professionalism, a diligent work ethic, and problem-solving capabilities. She has published 2 research articles and 1 book chapter with another article ready to submit. On a personal note, Ritika has a wonderful family and many friends who support her unconditionally. In turn, she gives back by being a caring student who loves and enjoys helping others. She always makes herself available and never denies the request of anyone who seeks her help. I am sure that with these qualities, she will be successful in her future endeavors. Congratulations, Dr. Kurian. And last but not least is Jorge Marquez, who was mentored by Jeanette Serrero and will be hooded by committee member Maureen Kane. On behalf of Jeanette Serrero, I am pleased to introduce Jorge Marquez. After completing his bachelor's at Towson, Jorge began in Jeanette's lab at A&G Pharmaceutical as a research assistant. Due to Jorge's inquisitive mind and curiosity, Jeanette encouraged him to pursue a PhD. Jorge's doctoral work helped identify a protein named PTGFRN, which was a cancer cell surface target of unknown function. Jorge demonstrated this protein had a role in metastasis for biological approach and did proteomics analysis in the Kane laboratory. Jorge then had to learn how to conjugate antibody and was undeterred in his efforts in this. He read about it, picked up the phone if necessary to talk to experts, and got the technology to work. He eventually developed an antibody drug conjugate and demonstrated its efficacy in vitro and in vivo. I am proud of Jorge's accomplishments. Jorge is now a pharmacokineticist at the FDA. They are lucky to have such a nice and dedicated investigator in their midst. Congratulations, Dr. Marquez.
I welcome to the stage Dr. Wendy Camilla Castillo, Assistant Professor and Doctoral Program Director of the Pharmaceutical Health Services Research Program.
I am pleased to present the graduates of the Pharmaceutical Health Services Research Program, Dr. Kaylee Majorkak, and her mentors, Dr. Daniel Mullins and Eleanor Perfetto. She will be hooded by Dr. Daniel Mullins. Kaylee Majorkak began her career in pharmacy as a pharmacy technician for the Kroger Company. She received a bachelor's in pharmacy administration from the University of Toledo and a master's in pharmaceutical evaluation and policy from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. She worked as a data scientist too in the population health analytics at the insurance company Humana. Kaylee was prepared for the long journey that every PhD endures since she has trained as an ultramarathon runner. Her longest marathon to date was 71 miles. That made, in comparison, the dissertation journey seem short. In addition to running and hiking, she loves to travel and has worked in China and Hungary. As a PhD student, she has presented at conferences in Canada, the Czech Republic, and Denmark. As a PhD student, she received funding for her dissertation work through a predoctoral fellowship from the National Health Council, a Washington, D.C.-based patient advocacy organization that represents more than 160 national health-related organizations and businesses. Kaylee accepted a postdoctoral research scientist position at Clinical Outcome Solutions, one of the nation's leading firms for developing new disease screening and health outcomes measurement tools for regulatory studies. Congratulations, Kaylee. Dr. Sunying Lee, who will be hooded by his advisor, Dr. Eberchuku Onukwa. I am honored to present Dr. Sunying Lee, who received his PhD from the Department of Practice Sciences and Health Outcomes Research in the School of Pharmacy. For his doctoral dissertation, Sunying used data visualization software and parametric regression models to characterize heterogeneity in time to loss of independence among individuals diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, identify subtypes of predictors based on activities of daily living, and quantify the economic burden of Parkinson's disease from the patient and family perspective. His findings have advanced our understanding of the clinical and economic burden of Parkinson's disease. He played a significant role in the success of several externally funded projects, including a data infrastructure project that developed a three-way linkage between our tumor registry, administrative claims, and electronic health records. Sun Ying developed highly marketable programming skills and worked with complex clinic and survey data while co-authoring peer-reviewed papers. Along the way, Sun Ying received the 2022 Donald O. Fetter Memorial Fellowship Award from the Pharmaceutical Health Services Research Graduate Program. It has been my privilege to mentor Sun Ying during his time at UMB, and I am very pleased to welcome him into the community of scholars. Congratulations, Sun Ying. Dr. Shintal Shah, hooded by his advisor and mentor, Zafar Safari. I am pleased to introduce Shintal Shah. Shintal joined my lab in 2018 with a Bachelor of Pharmacy from the University of Mumbai and a Master's degree in Pharmaceutical Outcomes and Policy from the University of Florida. During his PhD, Shintal served as a co-chair of the Meeting Planning Committee of the International Society of Pharmacoeconomics, ISPOR for short, student network, and as the UMB ISPOR student chapter president. Shintal's PhD dissertation quantified medical costs of treating chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, most commonly known as COPD, in the United States, as well as comparative effectiveness of COPD treatments using Medicare datasets. Shintal's dissertation has made a significant contribution to providing up-to-date estimates for health and economic burden of COPD in the United States. Shintal received multiple awards during his PhD and is currently a senior scientist at AstraZeneca. Congratulations, Shintal.
I welcome to the stage Dr. Jessica Mung, Professor of Pharmacology and Assistant Dean for Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies in the School of Medicine. And joining us to hood the graduates in Epidemiology, Human Genetics, and Gerontology is Dr. Anne Gruber-Baldini, Professor, Epidemiology and Public Health, and Epidemiology and Human Genetics, PhD Program Director, and Gerontology Interim Co-Director.
Hi, I am happy to introduce Jennifer Kirk, who is receiving her PhD in the dual campus UMB-UMBC program in gerontology with a concentration in epidemiology of aging. She is being hooded by her mentor, Jennifer Albrecht, who writes, Jen has shown incredible drive and determination to conduct meaningful research on human and health disparities. Her dissertation examined racial and ethnic disparities in the initiation of osteoporosis drug therapy following osteoporotic fractures among older women. To achieve her research objectives, she analyzed Medicare claims and created a new cross-sectional survey to understand Medicare providers' preferences and knowledges in the management of osteoporosis. To obtain data for her dissertation, Jen formed a collaborative relationship with a faculty member at the University of Alabama who conducts similar research, facilitating her access to a large Medicare data set at significantly discounted costs. Jen received multiple awards while here at UMB, including the Renee Royak-Schaller, Magaziner, Gerontology Early Career Development, GSA Research, Meyerhoff, McIntosh, and Langenberg Awards, and she was also funded by the T32 in Epidemiology of Aging. Additionally, she was awarded a prestigious fellowship at Mathematica, during which she refined and deployed her survey. Jen loves a challenge and included advanced analytic methods in her dissertation work to create new learning opportunities for herself. In summary, Jen is an incredibly impressive person and a new researcher who has a great future. I look forward to seeing what she does next. On behalf of the Epidemiology and Human Genetics Doctoral Program, it is my pleasure to introduce Patricia Erickson, who's being hooded by her mentor, Catherine Berry, who writes, due to Patricia's interest in occupational and environmental risk factors in cancer, she pursued a pre-doctoral fellowship in occupational and environmental epidemiology branch at the National Cancer Institute through the Graduate Partnership Program between UMB and the NIH. Patricia started her PhD program as a part-time student, but had no trouble successfully balancing her work and studies due to her excellent organization skills, dedication, and hard work. Her dissertation evaluated cancer risks associated with carbaryl, an insecticide with widespread residential and agricultural use, as well as an association between pesticide and telomere length, which is thought to be an intermediary in the development of many cancers. Findings provide important insight into potential carcinogenicity of pesticides and underlying mechanisms. Patricia is also a wonderful team member and made important contributions to other research projects, which led to a publication where she was co-author in additional manuscripts that are in submission or preparation. Additionally, she managed to find time to train for half marathons, and even longer endurance events. She will be moving to Salt Lake City this month to start a postdoctoral fellowship at the Huntsman Cancer Institute. Congratulations, Patricia. It is my pleasure to introduce Shishi or Lydia He, who will also be hooded by Catherine Berry and was co-mentored by Braxton Mitchell. Given her interest in cancer genetics, Lydia pursued a pre-doctoral fellowship at the National Cancer Institute, see a theme here, through the Graduate Partnership Program between UMB and the NIH. While at UMB, she also worked on studies within the Amish population. Lydia has a strong work ethic and was extremely productive during her doctoral program. Beyond her dissertation, she has been willing to help other projects showing her collaborative and generous nature. During her program, she published 3 first author papers and submitted 2 others with other papers in preparation. One of her first author papers, which focused on weight change in adulthood and risk of colorectal polyps, was published in the JNCI Cancer Spectrum and received substantial media interest, including coverage on Good Morning America. Lydia's dissertation evaluated the role of family history and genetic factors in the risk of multiple primary cancers. Her projects contribute importantly to the knowledge about the etiology of multiple primary cancers, which has implications in risk assessment and disease prevention. She's continuing her exciting work in this area as a postdoctoral fellow at the NCI, and in her spare time, Lydia is active in her church. Congratulations, Lydia. And we all hope to have such a good cheering squad. Thank you. It's my pleasure next to introduce Dr. Karashma Mohanty, who was mentored by Kristen Stafford and being hooded by Nan Sherratt. Karashma came to the program with a wealth of training and work experience. She bravely left that and an industry paycheck to return to graduate school to become an epidemiologist. She found that her passion was identifying drivers of health inequity and channeled that passion into her dissertation, where she investigated the impact of system and social determinants of health on HIV testing and treatment outcomes in Nigeria. Immersing herself in new methods not taught in her classes, she created novel indices to capture societal and structural drivers of health disparities. Her work has highlighted the impact of addressing structural, social, and societal inequity, social inequity could have on achieving and maintaining HIV epidemic control. In addition to receiving 3 awards for her scholarship achievement and publishing 5 papers, with 2 or more on the way, she found time to engage in student government, help nurture and support other students. Karashma tackled every challenge with grace, grit, a puzzle or 2, and sound epidemiologic methods. After our isolating global pandemic, innumerable all-nighters in the office, and mastering the art of responding to committee feedback, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Mohanty as a colleague to our scholarship community. Congratulations, Dr. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Nandini Ragaraman, who is being hooded by her mentor, Luana Kogalika. Dr. Ragaraman, I'm always going to mess that up, sorry, has just demonstrated an exceptional ability to learn diverse techniques and effectively execute tasks, including data collection, analysis, and manuscript writing. Her proactive approach was evident from the onset as she pioneered the creation of an index to investigate the health impact of the disparities on placebo-induced pain modulation among chronic patients. Furthermore, Nandini has exhibited mastery in brain imaging studies, notably contributing innovative insights into the neural mechanisms of observational learning, particularly with the use of naloxone. Beyond her academic achievement, Dr. Ragaraman's resilience and generosity are outstanding. Her unswavering dedication to her work, coupled with her willingness to support others, serves as a testament to her character. It is evident that her remarkable qualities will undoubtedly contribute to her drive her forward in her academic success. Your family, in particular your father, should be very proud of you, Dr. Ragaraman. Yay. Okay. I'm pleased. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mudassar Iqbal, who will be hooded by Tony Pullen, and whose mentor Geraldo Vasta writes that Mudassar came to his lab as a 2016 Fulbright Scholar awarded by the U.S. Educational Foundation in Pakistan. His research in my lab has revealed many novel functions of certain proteins called galactins upon influenza A infection and can lead to consequences potentially detrimental to the patient. These studies will open new avenues for intervention on viral disease. Mudassar co-authored 4 papers from his genetics work in Pakistan and 1 review article from my lab. From his doctoral thesis, 1 first author paper, together with a co-authored manuscript, is related projects are in preparation. In addition to his bench work, he has supervised student summer interns in the lab and carried out duties as a teaching fellow at Notre Dame of Maryland University in Baltimore. Mudassar's work merited a fellowship from the Radcliffe Foundation in 2021 and a research award from the Graduate Student Association in 2022. He also received an outstanding abstract award at the Glycoscience Research Day at the NIH in 2020. So congratulations, Mudassar, and we wish you the best success. I'm pleased to introduce Bingla. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost jumped. Jennifer French, who's being hooded by her mentor, Tim O'Connor, who writes that Jennifer French has been an incredible graduate student and excelled at combining genetic epidemiology, imputation, and admixture dynamics. Over the course of her studies, she was funded by the T32 on aging and became actively involved in its student leadership. Her thesis projects consist of making better genomic resources for Latin American individuals who are significantly underrepresented in genome-wide association studies. Her first project was to evaluate the composition of genomic imputation servers using the TopMed reference, where she found that the makeup of the reference panel can change the quality of imputation between different Latin American cohorts. Her second project looked at the association analysis of the X chromosome enriched for African and Indigenous American ancestry in Latin America and Alzheimer's disease. She found novel loci associated with Alzheimer's disease and will serve as future follow-up. She will have 2 first author publications and 3 co-authored publications. She will continue as a postdoctoral fellow. It says here in Dr. O'Connell's lab, but I know she just accepted a job at St. Jude's as a postdoc. So congratulations, Dr. French. All right, so next I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Bengal, who's going to be hooded by both his mentors, Tim O'Connor and Shannon Tackle Harrison. Bing came to UMB with substantial experience as a physician and postdoctoral fellow and wanted to expand his knowledge of programming, data analysis, and genetics. For his thesis, he has efforts to facilitate large-scale genomic analyses of Plasmodium falciparum, by assessing and developing tools for the detection of identity by descent. His first author publication in Nature Communications explored the impact of natural selection on identity by descent-based inferences and provided practical approaches to correct for selection-induced bias. As part of his second aim, he evaluated and optimized the performance of different IBD, but I'm calling algorithms to estimate IBD and CF falciparum to account for biological differences between the parasite and the human genome, namely high recombination rate and low SNP density. As part of this effort, he successfully re-implemented one of the algorithms in a different programming language, reducing the computational time from 3 to 4 weeks to 9 hours. He will be the first author of 4 papers, and through his collaborative and collegial attitude will serve as a co-author of many more to come. He will continue work as a faculty research associate within the malaria research program at the CVD here at the School of Medicine. Congratulations, Dr. I am pleased to introduce Laura Stoyanovich, who will be hooded by her mentor, Feroz Rastoul, who writes that Laura started her academic journey as a volunteer from Serbia, going on to complete her master's and then her PhD. From the beginning, Laura showed herself to be a lively, creative, inquiring mind whose hard work and perseverance has led to Bristol Lab in a new direction, linking interferon, inflammasome signaling to mitochondrial dysfunction. For her dissertation, Laura showed for the first time that the little studied gene ZNFX1 is a master regulator of mitochondrial dysfunction and interferon and inflammasome signaling in ovarian cancer. Her novel findings shed light on response to viral infections such as COVID and the role of mitochondrial signaling leading to inflammasome signaling with application to other cancers. Her hard work has produced 3 papers published in excellent journals, first author paper currently in review, and 17 abstracts presented at national and local meetings to much acclaim. Laura has a great scientific career ahead of her, and I expect to hear great things from her in the future. Congratulations, Laura. We're very proud of you. I'm pleased now to introduce Dr. Hadley Bryan, who is being hooded by her mentor, Megan Rizzo, who writes that Dr. Bryan researched the link between hair-like cellular structures known as cilia and type 2 diabetes. Genetic illnesses that disrupt cellular structure are rare, but manifest as profound set of phenotypes, including obesity and kidney disease. One human celopathy known as Bardet-Biedl syndrome protects against diabetes development. Dr. Bryan combined a human genetics approach with molecular and cellular imaging techniques to discover a new mechanism underlying clinical observation. She determined that pancreatic cells lack the Bardet-Biedl syndrome 1 protein and released more insulin in response to critical metabolomic or hormones in vitro. Her contribution opens rare new avenues for developing therapies aimed at type 2 diabetes. Congratulations. Our last epidemiology and human genetics, not least, graduate is Sarah Brown, who I will be hooding, but on behalf of her mentor, Rebecca Brotman, who writes, from the onset, Sarah has distinguished herself as an extraordinarily gifted student, deeply committed to her scholarly endeavors. She joined my research lab group to explore the connections between the vaginal microbiome and women's health outcomes, quickly demonstrating outstanding analytic and research skills. Sarah is one of the most productive trainees I've ever had. As a graduate student, she authored 13 manuscripts, serving as first author on 5 and currently finalizing 3 more for submission. Her meticulous approach was reflected in her NIH 31 grant application, which achieved a remarkable score of 20, but was 1 point short of the funding limits. For her dissertation, Sarah independently managed a 10-week cohort study involving over 100 women, skillfully overseeing recruitment, IRB compliance, and data management. She was recently awarded a postdoctoral fellowship funded by the T32 Epidemiology of Aging, where she will continue her research in collaboration with the Institute of Genomic Sciences. Here she will further her training in computational biology, genomics, host microbe interactions, and aging. It is with great enthusiasm that I welcome Dr. Brown to our vibrant research community, confident in her future as a leader in advancing the frontiers in aging, molecular epidemiology, and human microbiome research.
Joining this stage to hood the graduate students in biochemistry and molecular biology is Dr. Gerald Wilson, professor and interim department chair of Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology.
Good afternoon, everyone. Close. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Megan Stemberger, who first came to our community of scholars as a fellow in the Nathan Schnaper Intern Program in Cancer Research, where I got to know her fairly well, and I can attest with all honesty, this is true, she remains the only student who has ever commanded me back to my office to think about something I said. Wisely, Megan decided to complete her PhD research in the lab of Stuart Martin, who is here to hood her today, in the Greenebaum Cancer Center. And the following words are from Dr. Martin. Through her thesis research, Megan identified new mechanisms by which elevated hydrogen peroxide in the tumor microenvironment influences the metastatic behaviors of breast cancer cells. Megan continued an important scientific legacy here at the University of Maryland, since her grandfather, John Townsley, was a close colleague and friend of our cherished colleagues, Drs. Angela and Harry Brody, who developed the first aromatase inhibitors for breast cancer treatment. Throughout her PhD thesis, Megan demonstrated exceptional precision and diligence with her experiments. Each of these qualities is essential to overcome the noise of variables and make truly new discoveries. As a result, Megan was able to make a number of highly innovative findings, establishing how hydrogen peroxide impacts microtubule modifications and metastatic behaviors. Even as she begins an exciting new job at Astellas Pharma, Megan's discoveries here at the university will contribute to a new invention disclosure about combination therapies to reduce cancer metastases. Megan's outstanding work will undoubtedly guide research within the Martin Lab for many years to come, and we are all very proud to congratulate her on the awarding of her PhD today.
I welcome Vice Dean Dr. Jim Caper, James and Carol Frankel, Distinguished Dean's Professor and Chair, Department of Microbiology and Immunology in the School of Medicine. And joining us to hood the students in the Molecular Medicine Program is Dr. Ryan Riddle, Professor in Orthopedics and PhD Program Director in Molecular Medicine.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mackenzie Mole, who was mentored and will be hooded by Dr. Stuart Martin. Dr. Martin wrote, "I'm really pleased to introduce Dr. Mackenzie Mole, who completed her PhD in my lab at the Greenebaum Cancer Center. Mackenzie has been an incredible positive force in the lab and combined her enthusiasm for science with a bravery to explore new topics. Her innovative PhD thesis helped identify that breast cancer cells do not respond normally to elevated ATP in the tumor environment and fail to increase cytoplasmic calcium. Importantly, these signaling defects allow tumor cells to disseminate more actively and could play an important role during cancer metastasis. In addition to her outstanding experimental skills, Mackenzie played a major role in organizing scientific events and social events for both the lab and the graduate program. Mackenzie was the creator of our very first lab website and made sure to note major achievements of every lab member. Her teamwork contributions will advance the lab for years to come. Mackenzie is a uniquely skilled scientist, an outstanding team member, and I'm very proud to congratulate her on the awarding of her PhD today. Congratulations, Dr. Mullins. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kanwal Mahmood Hamid, who is mentored and will be hooded by Dr. Ashkan Ahmadi. Dr. Ahmadi wrote, Kanwal received her Bachelor's of Arts degree in Biological Sciences and minored in Psychology. She then received her Master's of Science degree in Tumor Biology from Georgetown University, working on preclinical gastric cancer models. Kanwal is the first person in her family to complete a PhD degree. She's presented her thesis work here at UMB, nationally at ASH and AACR, and internationally at the Global Hematology Meeting. She's won multiple awards on her thesis project, including Outstanding Oral and Poster Presentation Award and Graduate Translational Research Award. She has a pending patent on her thesis work. In addition to 9 abstracts, Kanwal has co-authored 3 publications with 2 additional publications in review. She's been active in the Molecular Medicine Program and has been the Vice President of the Student Advisory Committee. She has mentored student interns in the lab. Personally, it's been a pleasure to have her in the lab. For her future career, she was accepted into a prestigious postdoctoral medical affairs fellowship at AbbVie and will be moving to Chicago. Congratulations, Dr. Hamid. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Madeline Elizadeh, who's mentored by Dr. Jacques Ravel and Eric van Rosenving. Her mentors wrote, Maddie was truly an exemplary graduate student. Her dedication and enthusiasm for her research was evident in her remarkable achievements. With over 20 publications, some of which are in high-ranked journals, she has made significant contributions to her field. Her ability to work independently and take charge of every aspect of her research, from designing and implementing complex clinical studies to generating genomics data and performing statistical modeling, is truly impressive. Maddie's commitment to her research has not gone unnoticed, as evidenced by the numerous awards she's received, from the GPEL's PhD Scholar Award to the University System Maryland Board of Regents Award for Excellence in Academics, Scholarship, and Research, and the Crohn and Colitis Congress Young Investigator Award. Her accomplishments further highlight her outstanding contributions to the scientific community. What sets Maddie apart is not just her academic achievements, but also her positive attitude and infectious enthusiasm. Despite the challenges inherent in conducting research, she approached each task with a big smile on her face, inspiring those around her with passion and dedication. Maddie embodies what can be achieved with hard work, determination, and a genuine love for one's field of study. Congratulations, Dr. Elizadeh. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Brittany Hazard, mentored and hooded by Dr. David Sayre. Dr. Sayre wrote, I'm very happy to introduce Brittany Hazard. Brittany studied at the University of Delaware and Towson University before joining the Molecular Medicine PhD program as a Meyerhoff Fellow. She rapidly became proficient in bioinformatic analyses and spearheaded the development of novel genomic assays and analytical pipelines. Brittany then embarked on a 6-month-long experiment using animal models of malaria in collaboration with researchers at the National Institute of Health. This work, qualified by reviewers as a major experimental undertaking, led to a seminal study on the consequences of Plasmodium co-infection on the parasite's regulation and their transmission. Brittany will now continue her academic career as a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Chicago. Congratulations, Dr. Hazard. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tiara Johnson, mentored and hooded by Dr. Tony Antalis. Dr. Antalis wrote, it's my pleasure to introduce Tiara Johnson. Tiara's research focused on mechanisms involved in the resolution of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. DVT is a common and painful complication that occurs when a blood clot develops in one or more of the deep veins in the body, usually the legs. A DVT can be very serious if parts of the clots break loose, resulting in a pulmonary embolism. Tierra's research uncovered a novel mechanism involving the plasminogen activated inhibitor 2 that can be exploited in therapies to accelerate DVT resolution and improve patient outcomes. Tierra has been highly productive with 7 publications and 2 manuscripts in preparation, and has received multiple awards at national conferences. Tierra has a long-standing passion for STEM education and has made major contributions to multiple successful programs supporting education in health equities and the training of underrepresented minorities. On a personal level, Tierra is an enthusiastic and talented individual that is always prepared to put in that extra effort with a smile. We miss her, but we are excited that she's been recruited to manage the Cancer Center's education and training portfolio here at UMB. Congratulations, Dr. Tierra Johnson. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kayla Noland, mentored and hooded by Dr. Robert Block. Dr. Block wrote, it's a pleasure to introduce Kayla Noland. As an undergraduate at Barrera College, Dr. Noland majored in mathematics, but switched to biology because she says in math there's always an answer, but in biology there might not be. Her research focused on an unusual protein, mucrystalline, to understand its role in muscle health. She studied mice with high mucrystalline levels in muscle, like 15% of the human population. She expected these mice to metabolize fat better than normal and tested this by feeding them a high-fat diet. Surprisingly, she found that the mice didn't lose fat. Instead, they lost muscle. They atrophied. And only females did, not males. She concluded that mucrystalline regulates muscle health in a sex and diet-dependent way by influencing protein, not fat metabolism. Her results could be important in designing diets for obesity and other conditions in individuals with high levels of muscle mucrystalline. University-wide, Kayla has served as Vice President of the Student Government, on the University Strategic Planning Committee, on the COVID Advisory Group, and in student recruitment and community engagement. Notably, she was the grad school representative in the President's Fellow Program, which in 2021 recommended strategic priorities for DEI. Congratulations, Dr. Nolan. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Andrea Joy Romanowski, mentored and hooded by Dr. Alexandros Papalopoulos. Dr. Papalopoulos wrote, born and raised by Gillette Stadium and the Cranberry Box of Foxborough, Massachusetts, Dr. Andrea Romanowski became the first brave graduate student to join the Paul Lab and take on the challenge of genome editing the embryonic brain. Today, she graduates as a world pioneer in experimental CRISPR technologies, while also being an expert artisan in vitria, the ancient art of stained glass. It is this unique combination of skills that caught the attention of the National Institute of Health, where Dr. Romanowski has been recruited to apply her expertise in understanding the neurodevelopment substrates of mental health. We are all very proud to see the wonderful achievements that are in your future. Congratulations, Dr. Romanowski. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Camilo Vanegas, mentored and hooded by Dr. Christopher Ward. Dr. Ward wrote, Camilo earned his doctorate degree in molecular medicine with a focus on mechanisms underlying skeletal muscle dysfunction in disease. In addition to his contributions to 5 research publications across several groups, Camilo was an active participant in university leadership and entrepreneurial programs, most notably as a fellow in the President's Student Leadership Institute and as a GRID ambassador. Camilo is now working to meld his scientific and entrepreneurial training into a career in venture capital funding in the biotechnology space. Congratulations, Dr. Vanegas.
Coming to the stage now to hood the graduates from the Molecular Microbiology and Immunology program is Dr. Eileen Berry, Professor, Medicine, and PhD Program Director for Molecular Microbiology and Immunology.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Edward So, who was mentored by Dr. Scott Strome and co-mentored by Dr. Martin Flanick, who will hood him today. Dr. Strome writes, "It is a tremendous pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Edward So. I truly wish I could be there in person to celebrate this milestone with Dr. So and his family. Ed's journey to his doctoral degree was characterized by creativity, tenacity, and ultimately new knowledge. Ed started his journey as a lab technician. Based on his intellectual curiosity and intellectual gifts, I encouraged him to apply for his PhD. We were incredibly fortunate to recruit Ed back to our lab for his doctoral work. In this environment, he was not only a student, but also a wonderful colleague and mentor. Dr. So's studies primarily focused on defining the function of multimerized crystallizable fragments of antibodies, delineating the mechanisms by which they induce immune tolerance. While he made many contributions in this space, one that particularly stands out is his role in characterizing how the interplay between antibody binding to complement and Fc receptors shapes the immune response. Dr. So's description of complement as an immunologic rheostat will impact drug development while also materially contributing to our fundamental understanding of biology. Ed's path to his PhD was not linear. Like so many scientific endeavors, his journey was filled with twists and turns that forged an incredible final product. I'm excited for both Ed, his family, and a world that will benefit from his creativity, perseverance, and integrity. Congratulations, Dr. So. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Adrian Camboris, who was mentored and hooded by Dr. Alan Cross. Dr. Cross writes, "Adrian is a most remarkable student. She received her undergraduate degree after serving in the military for 13 years, including overseas deployments. In the military, she received many awards and held multiple leadership positions. Then, having started a family, she decided not only to go to medical school, but to get a PhD as well, all while being a devoted and highly involved mother to 3 middle school children. Through her military experience, Adrian became interested in burn injury. Consequently, for her PhD, she studied the effect of burn injury on the immune system. Adrian spent many nights in the animal room, followed by long days at the bench, and pioneered the use of a new technology for the study of gene expression. During her PhD studies, she had 4 publications, highlighted by her first author publication in a prestigious journal and receipt of a top poster award for this work at the annual MD-PhD Student National Conference last year. In her spare time, she volunteered in a program that mentored inner-city at-risk youth and serves on the executive team for her church. Adrian will complete her remarkable journey by pursuing surgical training so she can treat patients with burn injury. Congratulations, Adrian." It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kieran Tebben, who was mentored and will be hooded by Dr. David Sayre. Dr. Sayre writes, "I am delighted to introduce Kieran Tebben. Kieran joined the MD-PhD program at the University of Maryland School of Medicine after graduating in microbiology from The Ohio State University. Before starting her PhD, Kieran decided to spend 1 year in England to obtain a master's in epidemiology from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in London. She then spent 4 years studying the interactions between the parasites and the patient's immune system during malaria infections. She was extremely productive with 4 first author papers published already and an additional 3 at different stages of preparation. She presented her findings at 9 national and international conferences and significantly contributed to the training in bioinformatics and genomics of several students, including collaborators in Mali and in Cambodia, where she spent 1 month teaching state-of-the-art genomic approaches. Congratulations, Dr. Tebben." It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jillian, oops, nope, wait a minute, sorry, we're out of order. Dr. Jillian Mambo, who was mentored and will be hooded by her mentors, Dr. Joanna Silva and Dr. Kirsten Leik. Her mentors write, it is our tremendous pleasure to introduce Dr. Jillian Mambo. Jillian began her PhD after completing 3 years as a research assistant in the Malaria Research Program at the UMB's Center for Vaccine Development. She gained expertise in molecular biology and cell culture and rose to the position of laboratory lead for parasite culture. Aiming to become an infectious diseases immunologist, Jillian entered the GPIL's Molecular Microbiology and Immunology PhD program. In the MMI program, she was co-mentored by Dr. Silva at the Institute for Genomic Sciences and Dr. Leik at the Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health. She learned to handle PBMCs, generate and analyze transcriptomics and flow cytometry data, and led the implementation of novel, state-of-the-art, single-cell-based immunotranscriptomic techniques in the lab. Her thesis work on immunotranscriptomics of malaria infection in Malian children cohorts has already generated 2 main manuscripts. Her first manuscript, published in Frontiers in Immunology last year, won the award for Best Omics Paper of 2023 by an IGS student trainee. Jillian just started her first job as a systems immunologist at Immuni, a biotech company in New York City, where she plans to further hone her bioinformatics and immunological skills. Congratulations, Dr. Mambo. Okay. It's my pleasure to now introduce Dr. Jacqueline Joy Lasola, who was mentored by Drs. Ryan Pearson and Anthony Kim. She'll be hooded by her mentor, Dr. Pearson, who writes, Dr. Jacqueline Joy Martin Lasola is a dual MD PhD graduate who pursued her doctoral work in the laboratory of Dr. Ryan Pearson. Her research focused on investigating the mechanisms of anti-inflammatory immunomodulation of nanoparticles for the treatment of severe inflammation and sepsis. Her remarkable contributions resulted in the publication of multiple first author and co-author manuscripts and several awards and presentations. Her outstanding demeanor in the lab and dedication to teaching and training have left an indelible mark on the lab. I wish her all the best in her future endeavors. Congratulations, Dr. Lasola. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lillian Butler, who will be hooded by her mentor, Dr. Joe Pedra. Dr. Pedra writes, Dr. Butler's thesis was on the topic of vector-borne diseases. Her doctoral work helped to characterize how extracellular vesicles in ticks, which carry anti-inflammatory proteins and enable pathogen transmission to mammals, are formed. In this context, she characterized an important protein from ticks, RAB27, that affects microbial pathogenesis and ectoparasite survival. Dr. Butler has given several scientific lectures during her training and secured funding from the National Institutes of Health as an F31 fellow. Dr. Butler was a happy warrior in the laboratory and a very generous spirit who, despite all challenges she faced in life, always had a positive and helpful attitude. I personally enjoyed talking with Rainer. Rainer had this aura of an innate gift of providing low stress to people around her. Additionally, Dr. Butler is among the best scientific writers I have encountered in my 25-year scientific career. She is immensely gifted and has a talent of making complicated things become simple. I am very proud that Dr. Butler is following a career in scientific writing. Congratulations, Dr. Butler. Whoa. Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Laurent Marnin, who was mentored and will be hooded by Dr. Joe Pedra. Dr. Marnin's thesis was on the topic of ectoparasitology and skin immunology. Her doctoral work unveiled how ticks affect wound healing during feeding through single-cell RNA sequencing and reductionist approaches. In collaboration with colleagues at the University of California, San Francisco, she also aided in the demonstration of how ticks resist skin commensals with an immune factor of bacterial origin. Finally, she helped to characterize the importance of tick extracellular vesicles for bacterial infection in mammals. Personally, I miss her thoughtful demeanor and quiet leadership skills. Strong-minded and reserved, fiercely loyal to her colleagues, and truly invested in the advancements of women in science and underrepresented minorities in STEM, Dr. Marnin worked in a difficult project where only a few people in the world could do it. In the end, it was beautifully done. She learned that what we obtain too cheaply, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Congratulations, Dr. Marnin. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Gideon Wolfe, who was mentored by Drs. Neville Singh and Daniel Dueck and will be hooded by Dr. Singh. His mentors write, Dr. Gideon Wolfe graduated from Columbia University in 2014 and performed 2 years of research at the National Institute of Health before joining the University of Maryland for his MD-PhD dual degree. After medical school year 2, he joined the laboratory of Dr. Neville Singh in the Department of Microbiology and Immunology for his graduate research. Here, Dr. Wolfe studied how our immune systems are optimally activated to fight pathogenic infections. Important immune cells, such as T cells, are known to attack pathogens. If they attack our own proteins, they can cause autoimmune diseases. Dr. Wolfe made the surprising discovery that T cells responding to foreign threats paradoxically work best when they are also stimulated by self-targets at the same time. His thesis identified a new molecular mechanism for this unexpected duality. Dr. Wolfe has published 5 peer-reviewed papers. He co-authored a chapter in the graduate-level textbook, Fundamental Immunology. The authors of this pedigreed textbook include over 100 of the leading international immunologists, and Dr. Wolfe is the only one ever to be an author while still a graduate student. He also won the IDSA Germ Grant for his research. As a dual graduate, Dr. Gideon Wolfe joins the UMD Internal Medicine Pediatrics Department for his residency. Congratulations, Dr. Wolfe. It's my pleasure to now introduce Dr. Ashley Mitchell, who was mentored and will be hooded by Dr. Nick Carbonetti. Dr. Carbonetti writes, Ashley is a unique individual, and it was an interesting and eventful journey to reach this tremendous accomplishment. Ashley overcame significant hurdles, not the least of which was having me as a mentor. But fortunately, she always had the wherewithal to seek help from real experts on her thesis committee. Ashley is a serious scientist who has a passion for immunology, knows the literature, and is never shy to express her opinion. She is creative in her thinking, which helped her to succeed in a challenging immunology project. Her work culminated in an excellent publication in the Journal of Leukocyte Biology. She presented her work at various scientific meetings, including at the Gordon Conference on Biology of Acute Respiratory Infection, where she was a big hit, garnering at least one offer of a postdoc position from a senior scientist in the field. But if you know Ashley, you know she is a character, and she certainly injected some fun and craziness into the lab, whether it was being her goofy self or dressing me up in a Christmas party costume complete with flashing lights. So many congratulations to Ashley and best wishes for a successful scientific career. Yeah. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Casey Hofstetter, who was mentored by Dr. Bob Ernst and will be hooded by Dr. Ernst. Dr. Ernst writes, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Casey Hofstetter, PhD. Casey is an MSTP graduate student in the Molecular Microbiology and Immunology program who joined my lab in the Department of Microbial Pathogenesis in the School of Dentistry in 2020. The focus of his dissertation studies was to identify Pseudomonas aeruginosa lipid A structural diversity during chronic lung infection of people with cystic fibrosis and diffuse panbronchiolitis. His thesis research resulted in seminal discoveries that clearly identified that Pseudomonas aeruginosa expresses altered lipid A structures exclusively during the chronic lung infection as a way to modulate the host immune response. To date, Casey's research has resulted in 9 peer-reviewed manuscripts, in addition to 2 case-based manuscripts with clinicians in the School of Medicine, and he has been recognized by the following awards: the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Student Traineeship Grant, multiple travel awards, and Casey was a trainee on 2 UMB T32 grants. Lastly, Casey was an exceptionally talented graduate student, and I believe that he will have a bright future as an independent physician scientist in whatever field he chooses for his future endeavors. Congratulations, Casey. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jessica Allen, who was mentored and will be hooded by Dr. Sharon Tennant. Dr. Tennant writes, I am pleased to introduce Dr. Jessica Allen. Jess decided to complete her PhD research in the Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health, first in the laboratory of Dr. Rafi Simon, and following his departure to Pfizer, she joined the laboratory of Dr. Sharon Tennant. She knew that she wanted to perform translational research and wanted to learn immunological techniques. As such, she developed a research project that focused on understanding immune responses elicited by live salmonella vaccine in the context of aging. During the course of her PhD, she was the first author on 2 primary data papers and a review article, and co-author on an additional 2 papers. She's also an inventor on a provisional patent to improve immunogenicity of live salmonella vaccines. Jess was an integral member of her research group and always had insightful comments and suggestions. She also made amazing Oreo truffles for lab potlucks that are still missed by the lab. Her hard work has paid off, and she now has a fantastic position in industry. Congratulations, Jess. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Alexandra Soire, who was mentored by Dr. Vincent Bruno and is hooded today by Dr. Tanya Webb. Dr. Bruno writes, I am pleased to introduce Alexandra Soire. Alex started her academic journey studying international and global studies at Sewanee University of the South. Towards the end of her college career, she was bitten by the microbug and developed a deep passion for microbiology, which compelled her to pursue a master's degree in microbiology at Tulane. From the very first time I met Alex as a PhD student, she stood out from the other students with her insightful questions and comments and her obvious passion for science. It was very clear from early on that she was most interested in studying the interactions between microbes and the immune system. Her dissertation examined how a group of deadly drug-resistant fungi can escape the immune system to cause disease. This groundbreaking work paved the way for her to obtain a coveted position as an ORISE Fellow at the FDA, where she is currently actively involved in vaccine development. Congratulations, Alex.
Coming to the stage to hood the graduates in the program in neuroscience is Dr. Donna Kalu and Dr. Jessica Mung.
Good evening. It's my privilege to introduce our program in neuroscience PhD graduates. First, Dr. Sydney Ashton, who will be hooded by her mentor, Dr. Peg McCarthy, who notes that Dr. Ashton began her career with passion and verve, studying steroid hormone receptors in the red garter snake as an undergraduate at James Madison University. She brought the same energy and passion to her graduate studies here in the program in neuroscience, engaging in a multifaceted set of studies on the neural underpinnings of mammalian behavior. She is particularly interested in juvenile social play behavior, how it is motivated, how it differs in males and females, and how it matters. She wove this interest into a longitudinal study of laboratory rats that included 148 variables quantified across 12 months, allowing her to assess animals' quote, personality and how that was influenced by early life experiences. Dr. Ashton was a visiting neuroscience fellow at the University of Maryland, College Park, a leader in student government, including president of the GSA, and a valued colleague and collaborator to many. She has published a first author manuscript in the Journal of Neuroscience, co-authored many more, and has at least 2 additional manuscripts worth of data baking in the oven. Congratulations, Dr. Ashton. Your star is rising fast. Next, it is my pleasure to reintroduce Dr. Soad Alzini, who will be hooded by her mentor, Peter Crino. Dr. Crino notes that Dr. Alzini has made new inroads to understanding a severe human epilepsy syndrome by helping to create several new mouse model systems to study the causative gene SLC35A2. Soad's work is novel and first of its kind and will undoubtedly lead to therapeutic approaches and clinical trials. She has presented her work nationally at the American Epilepsy Meeting, the Society for Neuroscience Meeting, and internationally at the Gordon Conference in Spain. On a personal note, Soad is perennially warm, supportive, and joyful, even on some of the rough days. She finds a way to bring optimism, hope, and positive energy. Soad has been diligent, dedicated, passionate about her work, forthright, and honest, all critical qualities of a successful scientist. She has faced challenges with difficult experimental approaches and has resolved these through sheer effort and perseverance. Many others would have quit. In addition, Soad brought wonderful energy and enthusiasm to her lab, to her classes, and to the school. She exudes positivity, warmth, and kindness. Congratulations, Dr. Alzini, on your success. I'd like to take just a moment to acknowledge a student attending remotely today, Dr. Roxy Kondefosholovin, who was mentored by Luana Koloka. She notes that Roxy demonstrated an outstanding dedication to science and research throughout her journey as a PhD student. She demonstrated intellectual rigor, delving into the mechanisms underlying catastrophizing and chronic pain. Her exploration extended beyond the conventional approaches, traversing the influence of spirituality and the placebo effect. Through her research, she demonstrated the interplay between neurofunctional connectivity and the influence of placebo and expectation effects on human physiology and chronic pain. While she may not be physically present among us today due to the joyous anticipation of welcoming new life, her scholarly contributions resonate with us, with her contribution to neuroscience and pain research. Congratulations, Roxy. Thank you.
Coming to the podium now to hood the inaugural class of graduates from the Health Professions Education Program is Dr. Violet Kulo, PhD, Associate Professor in the Graduate School and PhD Program Director. And joining her to hood those graduates is Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Kenneth Wong.
It's my pleasure to introduce the 4 candidates who are part of the esteemed inaugural cohort of the Health Professions Education PhD program. So the first candidate is Dr. Jennifer Dalton. Who will be hooded by Dr. Karen Goddess, her mentor. So Dr. Goddess writes, I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Jennifer Dalton. Dr. Dalton has demonstrated a long-standing commitment to excellence in nursing education, earning a healthcare simulation educator certification and an academic nurse educator certification before earning her PhD in health professions education. Her dissertation work on exploring the impact of simulation-based ethical education on pre-licensure nursing students' level of moral distress will have great significance in guiding educational training to ensure the well-being of graduates entering the nursing profession. Dr. Dalton is a person of unparalleled grit and perseverance who has focused her internal drive on creating a better learning environment in nursing education. It was an honor to have the opportunity to collaborate with her on her HPE journey, and I look forward to the mark she will leave on the profession. Congratulations. Next is Dr. Shannon Dixon. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Shannon Dixon. Dr. Dixon was part of the esteemed inaugural cohort of the Health Professions Education PhD program. For her dissertation, Shannon was very passionate about exploring how genetic counseling program directors learn how to teach, a topic that addresses the very essence of the Health Professions Education program. Her path was exceptionally productive, using an expanded course project within an award of a grant from the Warren Alport Foundation to recruit and retain genetic counseling students from diverse backgrounds. Shannon was a passionate student and has been an impeccable colleague. As her classmate stated, she is proactive, always 10 steps ahead of everyone else, and willing to help coach and tutor the other members of the cohort through processes and course activities. Congratulations, Dr. Dixon. Welcome to the community of health professions education scholars. Next, it's Dr. Kara Felter. So Dr. Goddess writes, it's an honor to introduce Dr. Kara Felter. Dr. Felter is an accomplished clinician and education researcher that has dedicated her career to advancing societal health and delivering quality education to learners in the health professions. Her dissertation work on exploring the design and delivery of sexual health education for US-based doctoral of physical therapy students will have a substantial impact on learners, patients, and communities. Dr. Felter pursued her PhD after successfully earning a master's in public health and a doctorate in physical therapy, all which reflect her steadfast commitment to being a lifelong learner. Earning national recognition for her research work through presentations and grant funding is only the beginning of the many accomplishments she will achieve in the field. Dr. Felter's commitment to her learners and her patients is earnest and commendable, and there are no bounds to what she will achieve. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Felter to our community of health professions education scholars. Last but not least, who I'll be hooding is Dr. Hilary Ann Edwards. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Hilary Ann Edwards. Her dissertation work explored how her senior academic leaders learned and their self-efficacy in making decisions during the first 2 years of the pandemic. From the very beginning, Hilary was diligent. While collecting data and writing up her dissertation, as if this was not busy enough, she submitted a proposal and received federal funding to support 3 years of summer roundtable series titled Addressing Systemic and Structural Racism to Improve Safety, Quality, and Trustworthiness in the Health Delivery System. Dr. Edwards was named the qualitative analysis queen by her classmates, and she was always willing to support them where she could. I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Edwards into the community of health education scholars. Congratulations. Congratulations, graduates, on your achievements. Each one of you has your own unique journey, but one thing you have in common is that you all had the desire to succeed. You have relentlessly pursued and achieved the dream of earning a PhD. We are proud of you for making it through this challenging but very rewarding journey. So I have two wishes for you today. Believe that nothing is impossible and be persistent in the pursuit of your goals. Okay, so spring 2024 graduates will be mailed diplomas. Then this concludes the hooding ceremony, but not the festivities. Everyone is invited to join us for a reception in the atrium outside of this auditorium. Again, congratulations to all of the candidates on your tremendous accomplishments. So, So please follow the graduates out of the auditorium. Thank you.
I was trying to figure out how to get to my water,
Yeah,
but it was under the podium.
Severe coughing coming on.
As people walk by, I can smell the lilies.